everyone, today's construction day 93.
So today's the big day. Did you see the thumbnail? It said patience, patience, patience. So I'm going to start today's update with just a little story, a real quick story. So yesterday we're getting ready for the roofing, and just before we left the site yesterday, Wilma and I went to the foreman and said, "Hey, just want to double check. Do we have everything on site that we need for the roof? All the tools." I asked about the rivets and the rivet gun, and I said, "Do you have everything on site?" "Absolutely, we're good to go." I said, "Fantastic. Felix is going to be here at 8 o'clock. Yes." So I said, "Oh, that's great." So Will and I talked it over last night, and we said, "We don't need to be here at 8 a.m. We'll come at 9 a.m. To give Alex an hour to get started." So we roll in at 9 o'clock, all excited, right? The roof's going on, big day for us. Get up to the site, and I see Felix down at the bottom of the property. I'm like, "Hey, how's the roof going?" He goes, "Yeah, I can't start the roof." And I said, "Why not?" He says, "I don't have all the supplies." And I went, "You got to be kidding me," right? So isn't this like the second or third time this has happened? So at least I can laugh about it and have some patience, I guess. So I did a text to the contractor, and I said, "Hey, there's no tie wire on site," which according to Felix is the first step of installing the roof, right?
Yes.
The first step. You got to start with tie wire. So he can't start with step one. So he responded back and said, "Oh, geez, can you go down to the hardware store and buy some tie wire?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I grabbed Felix. I said, "You're coming with me because I don't want to get the foreigner price." So we drive down the mountain, and he gets the tie wire, and we get back up to the site, and it's now after 10:30, because it took about 30 minutes for the contractor to answer my text. So I would say a solid 3 hours Felix lost today. So in the grand scheme of things, there's much worse issues out there in the world other than not having tie wire for our little build here. But I just wanted to share that story. I mean, it's just it's funner in the Philippines. It's just stuff happens, right? And you just have to go with it. I think 2 years ago I would have went crazy over that, blew my top. Yeah, flip out a little bit. But today I just laughed it through, and we lost 3 hours.
Go with the flow.
Go with the flow, she says. So that's what we're going to do. So the good news is, around 11 o'clock, Felix got started, and then 60 minutes later, it's lunch. And that's what we're at now. It's lunchtime. So 1 o'clock, I'll start doing some videos on that first step, which is the tie wire, and then I'll get as much in today as I can on putting the roof up on the house. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about solar, just a little bit of an update. We did 3 site surveys, and Wilma and I got a real good education on solar, and we're still not sold, and I'll tell you why. All the contractors were a little different. We did get one price, and it was very high. It was double what we believe the other 2 will come in. So I don't know if that's the foreigner price or that's the first price. I didn't get back to that one vendor, so we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. Waiting for the other 2. I'm not sure why it's taking so long. I'm going to have to reach out to them and ask them where the quotes are. So that's number 1. So that kind of turned us off a little bit. But I've heard some bad news about some of the solar here in the Philippines. So what I heard was, and one of the vendors actually showed me the units. There's one of the solar vendors here is called Daye, D-E-Y-E. Very popular. I've seen it on other channels. Looks shiny and new, runs fantastic when it's first installed. But the one vendor said, and this is his number, 40% of the inverters fail between 12 and 18 months after installation. That doesn't sound too good. And then he actually took me in the back room and showed me he had 40 inverters, all of the same brand, that Dahi brand, that he had to switch out because they failed between 12 and 18 months. So that, that kind of scared me a little bit. And guess what brands the other two guys use? Same brand. So got to be a little cautious about that. Now, I also heard that you have to be very careful with the lithium batteries. That some of these batteries, again, they look nice and shiny. They're in a nice box. They look great when they're installed against a wall, but they could be refurbished lithium batteries. And how do you know? I wouldn't know. So I think we're going to put the brakes on a little bit, do a little more research. We're going to wait for the 3 quotes to get in, the other 2. And then we're going to move forward with all the pre-work. We're not going to change that. So all that pre-work that they recommended is going to get done, the prep work. And then we're going to move forward with the house build and probably finish the house without solar, and then do it as an add-on later if we do it at all. So I think that's where we're going with it, of course subject to change. And then at the same time, the generator, that's being roughed in now anyway, with all the switches and the proper wires and the breakers and all that. So that's all going to get roughed in. So we always have that as a fallback, to just buy that diesel silent generator large enough to run the home for when we have power outages. So that's where we're at now. Now again, if things change, maybe we'll move forward and get the solar installed before the house build is done. But I'm very cautious, and I'm very cautious with my retirement dollars, or with our retirement dollars. And I'm not going to rush into anything. Again, it looks shiny and new, but after 12 to 18 months, if there's a failure, what good is that? And then I also heard about the lithium batteries. I forgot to mention here that they all say they're about 6,000 cycles. That's what they're rated for. So if you go ahead and top off a 5 kVA or a 10 kVA battery pack, and you use that in one day, that's considered one cycle. They usually have a cutoff at about 20%, so the batteries don't go below 20%. So it charges up to 100%. You use it throughout the night. You get down to, hopefully 50, 40, 30, 20% maybe, and it shuts off until the sun comes out the next day. That is considered one cycle. So if you do the math, that's many, many years. I'm being told that you're not getting 6,000 cycles out of these lithium batteries if they're refurbished lithium batteries. You're getting much less than that. So again, I'm not saying that the solar here is bad. I'm sure there's people out there that has them installed and they're working fantastic. And I'd like to hear from anyone. I heard 12 to 18 months to start having some failures. So if anybody out there is, say, 2, 3, 4, 5 years into your solar system and it's working fantastic, comment below, let me know, send me an email at buildingthephilippines@gmail.com. Tell me your story, tell me the type of system that you have, and that may help us move along if we go ahead with solar now or not. So enough of an update for now, and we'll head up to the work site. All right, so I have my lovely assistant here, Vanna, and she's holding up the tie wire. And this is actually the very first step that Felix is going to use to start the roof. So I just wanted to show a close-up. It's pretty thick wire. It's the same wire they use for tying the rebar. Remember throughout the videos, they use the tie wire to tie the rebar together. It's the same wire, but I wanted to show it up close. It's pretty cheap. It's 80 pesos per kilo, and we bought a bunch of it today. And this is actually the first step of installing the roof. All right, so here's the two types of insulation. So the 10 mm and the 5 mm. So all total 15. The 10 goes up first and will be foiled down on top of the purlins. and then the 5 will go on top of the 10, and that'll be foil up. But what I wanted to show you is that first step, which is the tie wire. So Felix is up on the roof, and I'll zoom in, and what he does is every meter, so I don't know if you can see the wire there. I can see it on camera, but I guess I'll find out on the playback. But what he's doing is from the very front purlin all the way the full length of the house, he's tying that tie wire 1 meter. So every meter going across the entire house, there'll be a tie wire. And the reason for that is this insulation is, I believe it's 1 meter and then a little bit more for overhang, for overlap. And Felix said that he overlaps it more than this. This looks like about 2 inches. He overlaps it 4 inches. So that'll be the overlap. But this is a little higher than a meter. It's a meter, and then I guess that's 10 centimeters. So call it 1.1. But what he'll do is that tie wire is used to assist the insulation to stay in place. So it's on top of the purlin, and that is the first step. So he's just starting, and he has the first one in place already, and now he's getting ready to put the second one in place. And they'll all be 1 meter apart going across this entire room. And then once that's in place, he'll go ahead and bring the 10 up first, and then the 5 up on top of that, and get that all in place. So just a real quick clip here for the electric that's run to the water feature / bar. They went ahead and buried that wire, but what I wanted to tell you is they did bury it in concrete. When I did the clip yesterday, the conduit was just laying on the dirt, but they did mix up some cement, and then they put cement on top of the conduit, and they actually pulled the conduit up to make sure that it was embedded into the concrete. So they did that all the way from where it came out of the house all the way down to the water feature. So I just wanted to cover that with you guys. Okay, so Felix decided today to go solo. His plan this morning was to have one guy up with him to start the tie wire, knock it out, and then start putting up the insulation. But he's doing it alone, so that's slowing him down. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to zoom. But he's got the main area done. So all the tie wire is in. And then the tie wire is also in for the 2 spare bedrooms and bathroom. That's completed. And then now he's coming across doing the dirty kitchen. And he's about halfway done with the dirty kitchen. So he's just going to work on getting the entire house, the tie wire in by himself. And the reason for that is he wanted more of that black paint to get on the steel. Because he says once he gets going with those long sheets, it'll move pretty quickly. So he wanted the guys to get more painting done. So he put 2 guys painting instead of just 1. So again, no insulation will go up on the roof today, and no roofing. He's going to do the entire house with the tie wire, and then get that done and secure. And then tomorrow start putting the insulation, and hopefully some of the flashing will go in as well. So now that the rust inhibitor and prime coat is on all the steel, now they started with the black paint. So they started here in this corner on the east side of the dirty kitchen, and they'll paint all the steel black all the way across and wrap around, do the carport. Then they'll snake around and do the pergola. Then they'll go back through, they said, and they'll touch up anything that they missed. So they're trying to stay ahead of Felix because he's starting with the main roof. And then once he starts the east side roof, which will be, a week from now, he'll just be able to extend out, and we don't have to worry about painting these steel beams when the white roof is on. We want that all completed, obviously. So the guys are trying to get this done before Felix puts the roof on this area. So here in the back spare bedroom is the first look of that metal door frame that I was telling you about. So this is just spacers. This is just to hold the door frame at the right square angle. But it'll be all placed in this area, obviously, and then they'll put cement all around it and attach it. And then again, this is just spacers. And then once everything is dry and everything is in place, then they'll remove these spacers that are just riveted, and then we'll have door jambs all the way around that'll be metal. Again, and that's for just the fact that we're in the tropics with moisture and humidity, and then of course termites. So again, the first look of the first door jamb being installed. So it's after 3 p.m. and the sun once again is starting to go over the mountain there, so I'm gonna have to be careful walking down for this video. But I showed you the first column that they completed yesterday. So they have 3 guys doing the remaining 3 columns of the house. So here is that main 90 cm column. Look how good that looks. And they already have the cutout for the electrical light. They're squaring everything up and getting it nice and smooth. So then down here, Vince is also working a column, and he's actually almost done. So that's 60 centimeters wide. So looking really good. And then Robert is working the last column. I'm going to turn around and try to get the sun behind me. But again, there's the last column. So they look a lot better than the jagged edges that were there and the hollow block. So what I'm going to do is show you guys the inside of what the columns look like. Okay, so just quickly, you can see the inside of the column. Very smooth. You see they got the conduit, and this is going to be a light switch for some of the lights on the outside. And then here, the main column, the wider one, that's 90 centimeters. We got Gino working on that all the way up. See, it's still rough, so it still has to smooth it out. But definitely looks really nice. So pleased the way these columns look.